We believe that it is not justified to include in a document on Somalia a paragraph on Djibouti and Eritrea. Sanctions on Eritrea were lifted back in 2018. The situation in relations between Djibouti and Eritrea is not a threat to international peace and security. Resolving the remaining controversies or issues between the two countries should be done in the framework of bilateral diplomacy.
The Russian Federation expressed concerns about references to the relationship between Eritrea and Djibouti. This is a bilateral dispute, but one that the Council has continued to follow with close attention since UN sanctions on Eritrea were lifted in 2018. When the Secretary-General wrote to update the Council on this issue in July, he was clear that there had been no negative developments in the relationship between Eritrea and Djibouti, and the two countries have continued to act responsibly. But he was also clear there had been no progress towards resolving their outstanding disagreements, and that one of the parties continues to view this as a threat to peace and security. Given the divergent views between the parties and between Council members, this text is the fairest outcome and the best way to ensure that the Council can support further progress towards resolving these outstanding issues.
The 8,775th meeting of the Security Council is called to order. The provisional agenda for this meeting is the situation in Somalia. The agenda is adopted. In accordance with Rule 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the representative of Somalia to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of Item 2 of the agenda. Members of the Council have before them document S/2020/1100. The text of a draft resolution submitted by the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I wish to draw the attention of Council members to document S/2020/949, a letter dated 28 September 2020 from the Chair of the Security Council Committee pursuant to Resolution 751/1992, concerning Somalia, addressed to the President of the Security Council. The Council is ready to proceed to the vote on the draft resolution before it. I shall put the draft resolution to the vote now. Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2020/1100 please raise their hand? The result?
No, you have to go. There were not 15, so you have to go. The following please.
Okay. I was going to do that. Those against? Abstentions? The result of the voting is as follows: 13 votes in favor, 0 against, 2 abstentions. The draft resolution has been adopted as Resolution 2551. I now give the floor to those members of the Council who wish to make statements after the vote. I give the floor to the representative of China.
Madam President, right now, Somalia is at a critical stage of national reconstruction. Preparations for the general elections are proceeding steadily, and continuous progress observed in the implementation of its transition plan. On the other hand, this country's security situation remains challenging. The mandate renewal provides an opportunity that, in China's view, should be used to update the relevant sanctions measures in light of developments on the ground to help Somalia build greater security capacity in the service of the reconstruction process. That position of ours guided China's active engagement in the consultations on the draft, offering many constructive proposed amendments. Regrettably, however, the draft did not take on board our proposal that the Council explore the benchmarks for assessing the appropriateness of lifting the arms embargo. The current embargo has been a serious impediment to enhanced security capacity of the Somali government. The text fails to make a due response to the strong desire of the Somali government to have the arms embargo lifted. On another note, the current text fails to effectively address the concerns of Djibouti and Eritrea. Both Djibouti and Eritrea are good friends of China, and China encourages them to improve their ties through bilateral consultation. Given the foregoing, in view of the fact that the draft failed to duly address China's concerns, we had no choice but to abstain from voting. I thank you, Madam President.
The representative of China for his statement, and I now give the floor to the representative of the United States.
Thank you, Madam President. The United States welcomes the renewal of Resolution 2498 under the UN sanctions regime for Somalia, as well as its extension of the Somalia Panel of Experts mandate and provisions of the arms embargo for a further 12 months. The authorities in this resolution are an important part of the UN arms embargo, which every Council member has committed to uphold in the interest of securing peace and stability both in Somalia and in the broader region. To that end, we also support the increased focus on thwarting al-Shabaab's exploitation of the financial system and the addition of humanitarian language in this resolution. These elements draw attention to necessary reporting and urge the Somali authorities to address sexual and gender-based violence in Somalia with renewed strength. The United States remains committed to promoting the security and prosperity of the people of Somalia. Thank you, Madam President.
I thank the representative of the United States for his statement, and I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Madam President, colleagues, the Russian Federation abstained on the resolution prepared by the United Kingdom on Somali sanctions. We note the amendments included in the authors at the request of Mogadishu in streamlining the arms embargo. We hope that they will contribute to normalizing the situation and to reduce the terrorist threat coming first and foremost from al-Shabaab. However, our fundamental and duly justified observations were not taken on board in the resolution. We believe that it is not justified to include in a document on Somalia a paragraph on Djibouti and Eritrea. Sanctions on Eritrea were lifted back in 2018. The situation in relations between Djibouti and Eritrea is not a threat to international peace and security. Resolving the remaining controversies or issues between the two countries should be done in the framework of bilateral diplomacy. This is confirmed by the recent report of the Secretary General circulated this past summer. We regret the continued practice of using Security Council resolutions to promote a human rights aspect of the Somalian dossier. I just wanted to stress that there's a separate body, the Human Rights Council, that exists for that. We call on respecting the traditional division of labor. Also, we can't accept the over stressing of the role of certain partners in their helping Somalia in combating organized crime and illegal illegal traffic in coastal waters at the expense of other players. This is a selective approach, does not seem constructive. In conclusion, I'd like to express regret that once again this year the Security Council was not able to reach a consensus adoption of the solution, which is so important for our Somalia colleague. It's sad that our British colleagues, instead of trying to find a compromise solution, they preferred to force a vote. We hope that the right lessons are drawn from this situation for next year. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for her statement. I now give the floor to the representative. UK. Okay. My apologies. I now give the floor to the representative of the United Kingdom.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to make a few short remarks in response to the explanation of vote from the Russian Federation. The Russian Federation expressed concerns about references to the relationship between Eritrea and Djibouti. This is a bilateral dispute, but one that the Council has continued to follow with close attention since UN sanctions on Eritrea were lifted in 2018. When the Secretary-General wrote to update the Council on this issue in July, he was clear that there had been no negative developments in the relationship between Eritrea and Djibouti, and the two countries have continued to act responsibly. But he was also clear there had been no progress towards resolving their outstanding disagreements, and that one of the parties continues to view this as a threat to peace and security. Given the divergent views between the parties and between Council members, this text is the fairest outcome and the best way to ensure that the Council can support further progress towards resolving these outstanding issues. Finally, Madam President, I'd like to thank Council members again for their support for the text, although it's regrettable that consensus could not be achieved. I especially welcome the Federal Government of Somalia's engagement in this process and thank them for their constructive approach. This sanctions regime is a central part of international efforts to help Somalia build its long-term security and stability and address the threat posed by terrorist organisations such as Al-Shabaab. We strongly support the inclusion of new measures targeting Al-Shabaab financiers and are committed to supporting the Federal Government of Somalia to identify, address and mitigate money laundering and terrorist financing risks. Thank you, Madam President.
I thank the representative of the United Kingdom for her statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Somalia.
Good morning, Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, allow me to, Madam President, to warmly congratulate you on your accession over the Presidency of the Security Council for the month of November. We wish you every success in fulfilling your mandate. Also, I would like to commend your predecessor, the Permanent Representative of Russian Federation, for his able leadership in guiding the Council for the month of October. Madam President, we take a note of the just adopted resolution renewing the sanction regime on Somalia. We regret again for the second year in a row that important inputs have not been considered to reach consensus. The federal government of Somalia goes on record again in seeking to full lifting of the sanctions imposed on Somalia since 1992. In that regard, I would like to raise the following. Number one, the sanctions on Somalia is the longest United Nations sanction regimes with the widest mandate. We reiterate that sanctions are a tool and a means and not an end itself. Therefore, we stress the importance of identifying clearly defined benchmarks to full lifting of the sanctions on Somalia. We welcome the new addition of the preambular paragraph 4, in which the Council plans to keep sanctions under constant review in order to assess its appropriateness, including modifications, identification of possible benchmarks, suspension, or lifting measures. We equally welcome operative paragraph 35 for the Secretary General to conduct a technical assessment on Somalia's weapons and ammunition management program in 2021. In view of identifying benchmarks to full lifting of the arms embargo, number two, The terrorist group Al-Shabaab remains a serious threat to Somalia's peace and stability. United Nations spent generously millions of dollars in monitoring teams and panel of experts for more than a decade. It remains crucial for the international community to increasingly support the federal government of Somalia's policies and strategies to properly address the root causes of insecurity in Somalia. Therefore, we request from our partners to invest in improving our capacity in air surveillance, borders control, law enforcement. It's also main responsibility to investigate crimes and safeguard our land and our people. Number 3, subject matter expertise and evidence-based reporting are the two most important and best practices used in monitoring UN arms embargoes. However, there seems to be little consideration given to such practices since the quality of the reports remain mixed due to questionable level of expertise. Therefore, we recommend the following. A, choosing from a pool of candidates with high level of technical professionalism, integrity, and regional expertise to undertake future investigations in Somalia. B, a reliable mechanism to be established to address the misconduct and redress cases where allegations are wrongly made. We welcome recent steps taken by the committee to address our concerns and looking forward to a more institutionalized and transparency-driven process and procedure in that regard. To conclude, Madam President, we thank the Security Council for its continued support to Somalia's unity and progress. We encourage our partners to invest in sustainable solutions of building our institutions as well as to support us in our regional efforts to curb the threats we are facing. This is the only way that will enable us to build a lasting peace in Somalia as well as our region. I thank you, Madam President.
I thank the representative of Somalia for his statement. There are no more names inscribed on the list of speakers. The meeting is adjourned.